Hey, it's me, Tracy from HallOfFameMoms.com, and I am going to talk to you about homeschooling psychology in high school for, for an elective, okay? I am currently working as a high school psychology teacher for a local co-op that has psychology as an elective. It's not offered every year. I don't know when for sure the next year will be that they offer it. But I have 8 students right now in my class, and the year is almost over. We have about 6 weeks left. I'm going to show you the textbook that we're using, and I'm going to talk to you about how I've been doing it. And since this is my first year teaching psychology, it's really just a big learning experience for me. I would imagine that I will figure a few things out and do some things differently if I am to continue teaching it over the coming years. So the textbook that we are using is Psychology, A Christian Perspective by Dr. Tim Rice, the high school edition. That's what it looks like. Dr. Tim Rice is on Facebook, and he might have a Google Hangout. I have not participated in that. I don't know if it's active. Let's see. So, I wouldn't have known, like, how do you know where to find a textbook for something like this? Well, for this particular co-op that I'm working for, somebody else had already done some preparing for this class. And she had somehow she, I guess, had found this textbook. So I checked it out with the, the leadership was going to let me pick something else if I wanted, but I investigated this just a little bit, and it looked fine to me. And we're almost done. There's 15 chapters in it, and it's worked out really well. Like we have several chapters. We're on chapter 14, excuse me. And we have about 6 weeks left, and the reason why I think we're at that point is because I have not done any tests, real tests. What I've done with these kids, and let me throw this in real quick. What I'm teaching is just an intro type of class, and this book can be used for intro and advanced. Now, I don't like to strictly stick with a textbook. I just think it's boring and not very interesting. Doesn't matter what the subject is. I just not real big into just something like that. And I just I decided to mix some things up. So for every chapter, I have my students read it and do the review questions, and the review questions get pretty detailed. There seems to be 10 or 15 questions per chapter, but some of my kids, they really do a thorough job of answering them, and they'll give me maybe 2 or 3 or 4 pages of typed, they've answered them. And I've heard some complaining maybe that just how long it takes. And we meet once a week at this co-op, and I was told that, I need to be assigning them I think around 3 or 4 hours of homework, because it is high school. So anyways, what I like about this, and so far, I would use this again. So what I like about what Dr. Tim has done is in the teacher text, let me get it here. I put the teacher text and some other things that I use in a vinyl, or I don't know, one of those kind of cheap plastic 3-ring binders that's flexible. In the teacher's guide, Dr. Tim Rice has some extra things. He gives you ideas for discussion topics, other homework, and like I said, this class can be used in an advanced placement type of situation, or just intro. So, I don't feel like I really need to have a big exam for these kids. They're being exposed, they're reading the chapters, they're doing a quiz. He gives a bunch of questions that you can make a test or a quiz out of. And what I usually do is just pick out maybe between 10 and 15, somewhere around 10 or 15 questions. I'll put together a study guide, email it to my kids, and then they can study it. So it's really pinpointed in that way, and they're not having to search high and low for the right answers. You know, and if he gives me 50 possible questions, then that would be a lot to have to study for. So anyways, let me kind of show you here. This is how I did my binder. Okay, and it's pretty full. I didn't clean it out for this video, but so I have just some co-op information there that I saved. I have my pencils and stuff like that. Then looks like I have the co-op schedule, lesson plan section, which I had made for myself, but I just found I didn't use it after like the first maybe week or two. I have a folder here. This is where I put their their quizzes and their papers that they're turning in to me. I keep it there. Then I have this is where I keep the teacher guide, and this is just cards or scrapbooking, cardstocks type stuff that I had in there. So here's the teacher's guide. And he'll give you ideas like videos you could watch, articles to look up, things like that. And I find that a lot of the time I'm not even looking at his stuff. Sometimes I did that more maybe in the earlier chapters, but I've done, I'll do my own research, and I use YouTube like every week. Every week I try to have at least a video that's about 10 minutes. And that just helps break things up too. They're already reading the chapter. They are already having to study. They're already having to look up and answer review questions. They have their short quiz every week, or I try to do for every chapter. They usually have a quiz. I did make an exception here about a week or so ago. I'll talk about that in a minute. So then, I shake this up with some videos. Now I've created a playlist here on YouTube. So where I save the videos, like I'll go out, I'll research videos, and I'll save them to the playlist. And you can even look at the playlist if you want. The playlist, it'll say something like psychology videos for co-op. And depending on what we're going through, what I want the kids to take note of, I'll save them to the playlist, and then I assign them for homework. And I usually don't go too far ahead in that, and that way I can say, look, you need to have everything watched up to this point. Usually it's a week-to-week thing, where we're pretty much, unless for the videos we're watching in class, they're seeing them in class. If it's something I want them to do for homework, then they just have that to go look and to go watch. So we look at videos that are Christian in orientation, and secular as well. I'm not going to mention exactly, like, you'll just see it by looking at the playlist. What else can I tell you? I've had the kids do papers as homework. Like, I will assign them reading or watching a video, listening to someone talk about psychology from a certain perspective, and then I'll have them write a paper. Usually it's a short 1 page, but there's some like 2 to 5 papers in there that they have to do during certain weeks. They won't know about it till that week, and I just will ask them, tell me what you learned, or tell me about this, or what are your thoughts on this. We have done, or I've had the kids do personality. Like the kids will help me find. They'll find them for me. They'll find the free personality and IQ tests that are available online, and then I'll have them take it. And then, in some cases I've had them write a paper about the results, or what they think about the results. And those open up good talks, I think, where, we learn about we can discuss, labels, people being labeled based on tests, and that all fits right into with psychology and how we think and things like that. So we are at the end of Dr. Tim Rice's book. We are right around the area of abnormal psych and treatment and some of that sort of stuff. And I really wanted to spend some time dealing with abnormal psychology and treatment, and with an emphasis on what does the Bible say about these things, and then we can contrast that with what the world says. So we have about 6 more weeks where we can kind of take our time on that and deal with that. So then my last section, I think it's the last section of my book, is grades. And I just found a form online where I could just, keep a page for each of my students and keep track of, like the homework that they did, attendance if I need to. I don't check off every day, but in some cases I was taking note of if they were absent or not. Then their quizzes. And like I said, right now I'm not doing a big test. They've done papers. They're still doing papers for me. And that sort of stuff. So then, we do grades. So every quarter we do grades, and so that's basically it. In addition to this and the one textbook we have, I did tell them in the beginning that a King James Bible would be a textbook for us also. And the reasons for this, first, my personal opinion is that there's really no more trustworthy version than the King James version of the Bible. But regardless of that, it helps us all stay on one page, because there's so many different Bibles out there. They're not worded the same. Some of them actually leave out verses or parts of verses. So if I was looking for a particular answer from the Bible and I told them to go look up something, there's a chance that some of them wouldn't even have it if I just, if I didn't have a standard. So I made the King James Bible be our standard. And so, yeah, since it's a class with a Christian perspective, we need to have that element. And I feel like I've kind of been all over the place, sort of, with this, so I don't know how helpful it was, but if you have any questions, leave me a comment, and I will try to answer you back. And yeah, I think that's it. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye.